we are going to start our training soon. Before that, let me introduce myself. I'm Wendy from Department of Languages in Penang. And together with me, we have Miss Shamini. And both of us will be sharing our experience today on modified flipped classroom. Just sharing our personal experience on the training, the classes that we have conducted, the challenges and some tips that can help maybe you all, maybe in the future you intend to conduct flipped classroom. What are the things that you can do to improve the method? Okay, Miss Shamini, over to you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Once again, I'm Sharina, everybody, from Bintan. All right, so as Wendy has just how to say, explained earlier, okay, we are just going to share our experiences. Okay, it's not like we're teaching you or what, but we are very, very happy because we have tried this flip classroom method in our classes, and we would really like to share some of the tips and challenges with you so that you know it can actually, help you in future if you want to um, do this method. Right, next slide, please. So before we begin, all right. So before we begin with our sharing session, okay, let me just ask you all in general, as a lecturer, okay, I know that you were different before this COVID-19, before the pandemic, and definitely different compared to how you were before, right? So as a lecturer, how are you different from you before COVID? That means we are just asking you to compare how were you as a lecturer before the pandemic and after the pandemic, or maybe now. What difference do you realize, or what difference do you see in yourself?
So, Miss Shamini, would you like to share yours first?
No, I think we'll listen to one or two from the participants first, and then definitely I will share some of mine. Patience, the tolerance ability has highly increased. That is something that I would totally agree, Bai. You became more patient. Yeah, the truth. We have few more participants typing. Interesting. Just take a minute to reflect on how you were before and how you are now. See the difference. Is it a positive one, or is it really a negative one? It can be anything. A little competent with digital devices. More creative in developing my content. That's a great thing, Rina. Okay, so for myself, I mean, based on my experience before COVID and after COVID, definitely, I would say the patience, the level is totally different. Now I'm more patient. And before this, you know, when it comes to assignments and all student submission, you just like, you see them physically and then they submit the work. That's it. But when it comes to online, you really need to make sure that they understand the instruction. You need to repeat again and again and again. You feel very tired for sure. Okay, like myself, I've been very exhausted, especially if I have a morning and afternoon session. Right, it's very exhausting. I can see myself different in a way that I'm more patient, more creative. Okay, using a lot of tech tools. Okay, instead of just slides and lecture and talk and students submitting their work, I tend to be more creative in incorporating some games and, to make sure that they engage, especially during this online session and also that's the difference. Miss Wendy, what about you? How different you are?
I think the most significant part would be the patience level. Yes, I agree with Bucky just now, what she said. Because especially the group that I'm teaching, they are basically foreigners, and they have problems understanding you. So every time, whatever you just said, especially when it is something very, very important regarding their quizzes, their final exam, you need to repeat and repeat verbally and write it in WhatsApp group and then post it on Open Learning again, just to make sure they understood and also they don't forget about it. Yes, paperwork also maybe. Last time we used to maybe just mark on papers. Now probably you need to mark in PDF form, and then later on you need to print out and then highlight again, double work. Yes, very exhausted. Any more who would like to share? Oh yeah, about Sharina's comment, more creative. Yes, because we were forced to conduct our classes online. So you need to learn more tech tools to use them so that your students they are interested to learn. We have students who tend to like our training session now. We don't see our participants. We don't see our students. So you see their names here, but actually probably they are sleeping. They are doing something else. They are actually not listening to you. So we try to use creative activities so that they join. You know that they are participating at least.
Definitely, Ms. Wendy. Creativity is something that I believe all of us have developed after COVID. So it's a good thing actually to make sure that students participate, because we know we tend to talk in front of the laptop, and a lot of lecturers tend to complain and say one of the challenges in online teaching is that you talk in front of the laptop, but you don't know whether students are there, whether they are responding or not. But somehow, yeah, we have to look into it, reflect, and see why students are not responding. Why? What is the problem? Is it me or is it them? What is the issue? So when you reflect, you tend to, create some activities where it involves them during the lecture time. They have to do this, they have to participate in this. If you don't, then you don't get your attendance. I know those kind of things. So slowly they start to respond to you during the lecture time or the tutorial time. So creativity is definitely one good thing that I would like to add on here as well. I like Batni's comment saying that yes, especially the pastoral care, we need to understand that, some students, they don't have the access to internet, they don't, they accept, I wouldn't say they don't have the access, it's very limited, probably lacks a lot. And students being students, you have to remind them again and again and again about their assignments. You need to chase them and those kind of things. But yeah, it's all parts and parcel that we are in now.
All right. So we hear from you. We know that your patience level has already increased. And we know that we all learn to be more creative. So regarding the topic today that we are sharing, before we share our experience, we would like to know this. Actually, when we talk about flipped classroom, what comes to your mind when you come across the term flipped classroom? All right, let me unshare first. I will share you the code. And I would like to know your answer. Hold on. You can start thinking now. Can you see the code up there? You can you can go to www.menti.com and key in the code. You can use your phone, I think, and key in the code there. Reduce 10 years due to stress. You can submit multiple times, yeah? Really, do we reduce 10 years of life? You know, people say when you always interact or stay with younger people, you tend to feel younger, you know?
But I do. Let's see with some of our ideas that we're going to share with you later or whatever that we have done before. Maybe it might reduce your stress level a little bit.
Yeah, that's the aim of the training today. I would not, actually do not like to call it a training. I think it's more to a sharing session. But stress and anger. Okay, preparation, blended learning, self-learn and face-to-face, long computer screen time, creative activity. We have more benefits here. Looks like it, yeah, Shamini. We only have one, which is long computer screen, which is slightly not good for now. Any more? Independent learning, on pace, enjoying, great. I hope enjoying refers to you, lecturer, you are enjoying. Time consuming, okay, preparation. Physical versus online. Less work, surprisingly. Not fun doing online. But soon we are going back to physical sessions, right? Interactive, okay. Soon. Looks like Jehan is very excited for it. But you are so ended up with hypertension or the think positively, Bai. Okay, Miss Shamini, do you see any interesting answers here?
I like the one that says interactive activities. That is really a good one, I feel. Of course, blended learning is something that everyone share because blended learning is the umbrella term that we use for this split classroom. Okay, it's, perhaps in my next slide, you will see it more in a more clearer way. Yes, it's blended learning. It involves some work. Okay, not I wouldn't say some. Okay, to be honest, it's a lot of work just at the beginning of it. But as you practice more and more and more, you will feel a bit relaxed. Of course, your job is that, but in terms of preparation, will be slightly lesser. That's my own experience teaching this course for almost two years in this flip manner. So ever since we've started with this pandemic, we have decided, okay, never mind, for this course, let's do flip. And initial stage, yeah, it was a bit difficult, but later on, it is okay. It's manageable. So that's why we want to share with you some of the insights or some of the experience here. But I kind of really like the interactive activities part.
Okay, so actually from the answers here, we see that some of you actually know that, flipped classroom actually about all these things here. And we will go further into some of the things you should know about flipped classroom and how we can modify it later on. All right. Thank you for your response. Let me share and let me go back to the slides again. At the same time, Ms. Shamini, do you see any interesting answers or comments in the chat box?
So back to the earlier one, right? I like another word, which is student privilege. There's someone answered that student privilege, and I really think that is true. The students, they learn on their own pace, and we are in a way helping them to learn. So yeah, and I know Jehan is very excited to see the students here in the chat box instead of staring at myself.
I am excited and I'm afraid at the same time also. All right, Ms. Shamini, over to you now. Let's go to things to know for flipped classroom.
All right, so let's get back to business here. Yeah. So as I've mentioned earlier, right, blended learning. When someone said blended learning, it is the umbrella term that we use, okay, for all these online learning and all. And we have different types. Of course, we're not going to cover everything here. No, it's kind of impossible to cover everything within these 4 hours because it's very, say, vast. It's huge. Okay, blended learning is a lot. Can interpret in many, many ways. So the one that we are going to focus today will be the flipped classroom model, which comes under the rotation model. So rotation model, basically, you don't lecture everyone. Okay, you just have like stations. Okay, one person, one group, maybe group A will do the lectures first, and group B do the activities first, and then you rotate them and those kind of things. That is basically rotation model. But we are not here to talk about rotation model. We are here to share about flipped. Okay, and even under flip, you can incorporate this rotation model. Okay, how there will be one session, one slide, if I'm not wrong, that we're going to share how you can incorporate flipped classroom to the rotation model. So basically, blended learning means it's a it's a it's a teaching where it involves technological tools. It involves face-to-face, but now, of course, for the past 2 years, we don't. So maybe when students are back to campus next semester, you can use this. Okay, you can have face-to-face session with the students, and you can have some things for them to complete at home using online. All right. Moving on to the next one, Miss Wendy. Okay. So next one over here. So traditional classroom learning approaches. All right. So basically, okay, what students do, okay, they before the session, before the class, they will not know. Probably some students, they don't even care what topic we're going to cover. Okay, they basically have zero idea. They will come to class, whether it's traditional face-to-face or online. They will attend the session, and instructors, okay, we all will talk and talk and talk and talk. We lecture a lot, and after lecture, we give them tasks, and students tend to complete it as their homework, right? So this is the traditional classroom learning. Next slide. So flip here, all right, basically a bit different here, okay, where the students will know about the topic. They will be prepared before attending the session. So there's a misconception about flipped classroom. Some says, oh, flipped classroom, we have 3 hour session, we can flip 1 hour and we can teach only 2 hours. No, it is not like that. Okay, this is additional non-face-to-face session, which is we call it as asynchronous session, right? So students at their own pace, okay, not the learning hours, yeah, at their own pace, they will complete a set of reading or they will do a set of exercises, they do research, okay, they are asked to do it. You will tell them beforehand, these are the things that you need to know before coming to my class. So they are slightly prepared, all right? And then with whatever understanding that they have regarding the topic, they come to your class, that 3 hour session, then they will ask you questions. Miss, when I read this, I notice this is very confusing. Can you clarify this or not? And as a subject expert, that's the time where you step in and you facilitate and you guide the student. Okay. So one thing that everyone probably might think now is that, do we have students like that who actually prepare earlier and ask questions in class? Well, that is basically, how do I say, depends on how we set the rules in our classroom, which I'm going to touch later on. All right, so this is the basic thing. First of all, students will know about the content. They will do some sort of a research first, and then they come to your session. You do activities. You don't lecture for 3 hours, or you don't lecture for 2 hours anymore. You know students won't be listening to them, especially if it's online, right? So we give them activities to do. We give them discussion, breakout room session, and so on. And after that, only you give them some reflection, some questions to uh, reflect on their understanding in class, or you can give some additional exercises, which for me, I would say it's easier, okay, to look whether they understood the content or not. Right. So this is the basic difference between a traditional classroom, from knowing nothing to coming to your class, to flipped classroom where you have a small idea of what is it about and then they join your class. Next slide. Correct. So I'm sure everyone knows about Bloom's taxonomy here, right? Because we use it to set up exam questions and assessment questions and so on. So Bloom's taxonomy is something that comes always. Can't think of the word now, sorry. All right. So if you look at the traditional classroom session, right? So in traditional setting, the lower level thinking, which is the remembering and understanding part, will be delivered by the lecturers. Okay, lecturers lecture, talk about these are the topics, blah, 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 blah. And then we give them homework in a way that, student will independently answer without any guidance. That is the traditional one. Next slide. So to compare with traditional session, flipped classroom is the part where student, you flip it. So student will learn about the basic things. So all the lower level thinking, right, happens at the student level. Okay? It's very easy, especially students nowadays, they are very, how to say, tech savvy. If they want to know anything, the first thing they will do is reach out to their phone and Google. Okay, this is what many students will do. Not even students, but everyone. If you want to know something, you will Google, because all the information can be accessed online, right? So we're going to let them do the lower level thinking, lower level first, which is, they read, they remember, and they try to understand the concept of the topic, all right? And with that basic knowledge, they will already know what they are supposed to prepare and what they're supposed to do in the class. And all. They have some kind of a background, like schemata, you say, you have some kind of an idea, all right? And then they come to the class, all right? They come to class and you sit among your friends and then you share your understanding. Okay, so what is it that you understood from this topic? Okay, why this is right? Why this is wrong? Things like that. So The higher level part is where students will work together, and you as a lecturer, definitely you won't be lecturing, but guiding and facilitating the students. Okay? We are no more in the role of lecturing for 2 hours or 3 hours. We are there to guide them, to help them to understand better. All right. Okay, next one. So a bigger picture. All right. As a whole, the students will learn first. Okay, that is the before part. Students learn first, and then where they will get the knowledge input, and next they will apply whatever that they have learned during the class session, the 3 hour class session, which is the part where they will uh, have the knowledge output. That means they will basically apply all knowledge that they have learned, okay, for the better understanding. And then go back home and do some exercises. All right, next slide.
All right, so when we talk about flipped classroom, we know how it works now. So we are going to look at the principal goals. Why are we doing this? So I have actually summarized 3 principal goals of flipping. First, of course, we want to make our classroom a more interactive learning environment. You know, the traditional way is like last time when we were students, we only listen to our lecturer. The lecturers will lecture a lot, lecture too much, keep on talking and talking. Then as a student, we only passively receive the information or the knowledge given by our lecturers. However, what happens after the class? We cannot recall at all. So during the class, we listen passively without doing anything. We know that, if you want to really remember something, you want to learn something, you have to do hands-on activity. So if you only listen, you won't be able to remember anything. So if we want to make our classroom a more interactive learning environment, we need the students to do something during the class. So through this flipped classroom method, we provide more chance for our students for classroom activities such as discussion. When they discuss, they share opinions, they talk, they apply what they have already learned before the class. And they play games also. That means they apply what they have already learned. And also we can also do a question and answer session because basic their basic information about the subject they have already learned before we conduct our actual class. And the next thing is we want the students to learn at their own pace. I think for lecturers or for educators, you know that in a class we have mixed abilities. So you might notice that, during your actual classes, some students, they tend to keep quiet. Some students, the better ones, they will answer your questions, they will do better in their assessments. So what is the problem? Because some of the students, they are not at the same level. Some, they are slower. Okay, so during the class, if we only do the main lecture session, we don't do flip, what will happen? There will be limited class time for them to interrupt and ask you question because you are talking and talking because you are rushing for the syllabus. So they don't have the chance or they have limited chance to ask you question to stop you and clarify what they don't understand. And also, when you do flip classroom, in a way you teach them before they come to the class. So they can have extra time to review first before they take part in the discussion during the class to apply what they have already learned. And also, they are more flexible, as in some of the students, they can rewatch the recording, they do the task again and again, then only they remember. Some, they don't need to do so. They can just watch for one time and then they learn everything. So we provide enough time for the students to learn at their own pace. Number 3 is we help the instructor through this flipping method. We help the lecturers, the instructors to tailor the course to individual students' needs. Because through flip activities, we can actually gauge the students' understanding. Why? Because you provide the pre-class activities and maybe quizzes. So from the performance there, you know that, oh, this particular subtopic, they are confused. Or, you can see that for this particular activity, most of the students, they make mistake. So you know that they are confused and they don't really understand about the subtopic. So you can quickly adjust your level or the activities you want to do during your classes. You can adjust it before you conduct actually. Okay, so that the students, they can participate in those activities. You provide a more personalized learning experience to the students. All right. So I'm not sure whether you all have seen this picture before. This is what we call as the pillars of flipped learning. Okay, so flip actually represents flexible environment, learning culture, intentional content, and lastly, professional educators. So first one, flexible environment. When we talk about flipped learning, you are actually arranging a more flexible environment for your students to learn. Flexible as in flexible environment, flexible time, a flexible space for them to choose when and where they want to learn. Okay, so when you record your videos, you let them do their pre-class activities, they can choose when they want to do it. Okay, when they are freer, when they can be more focused, okay, they can participate in the activities, they can do the pre-class activities. And then the learning culture means that we want to shift the culture to learner-centered approach. Okay, we want the students to take responsibility of their own learning. We want them to actively involve in constructing the knowledge instead of us uh, telling them what they need to know during the class. So we want them to learn to take charge of their own learning. And number 3, intentional content means that when you are designing your flipped classroom, you need to know, you need to determine what you need to teach them and what you want them to explore on their own. So through this planning, you are actually maximizing your classroom learning time. We don't want them to spend time on doing the things that they can do at home, the pre-class activity. Okay, we want them to apply during the class. We want to maximize the time for them to learn in the class. And lastly, of course, show our professionalism. We are all professional educators. So what does it mean by professional educators? We teach, but at the same time, we also observe them. We observe how's their performance, what are the problems they have. At the same time, we provide feedback to their performance, to the activities. We also assess them. After assessing them, we find out the problem, we reflect, and also we improve ourselves for our future classes. So according to this pillar, now we think about why we wanted to flip now. Okay, of course, first one is it's more customized and engaging. Why does what does it mean by customized? Like I said just now, you look at their pre-class performance. Okay, when you notice that they are weaker in some of the subtopics, you actually can customize the activities, the level, the types of activities you want to do during the class. You can identify the problematic part, then emphasize it during your class. And also it's more engaging, as in they don't sit there and listen to you only. They join in for the activities. maybe they can do presentations, discussion, or group activities, problem solving. So it's more engaging instead of passively listening to you until they get bored and they fall asleep in front of the screen. Secondly, if we record our videos before the class and they watch it, actually those recorded lectures can help them review for exams, especially during the pandemic these 2 years. We tend to record our lecture also during the class. We put it there so that they get to review, because students, they rely heavily on recording as a study aid. Okay, and also the recorded lectures, okay, are saving the time, so that you actually don't want them to disturb you heavily on social media, on WhatsApp. So through the recorded lecture, they can actually review before their exams. Oops, hold on, yeah. Okay, all right, next. Students are more satisfied and they can perform better. Why are they more satisfied if you are doing flipped? Because they get to participate together, they get to share, they get to join for activities, they get to listen to their friends, so they can perform better, of course, when they have the chance to practice what they have already learned. And lastly, this is something which is verified by Miss Shamini, which she said flipped classroom actually helps her to speed up syllabus. So I would like to invite Miss Shamini to share her experience on how this flipped classroom has helped her to speed up syllabus. Miss Shamini, please.
All right, so yeah, this is basically my personal experience when it comes to speeding up the syllabus. All right, so I am talking on behalf of my course, which is ALE. It's a foundation course, English grammar. So I would like to share with you something based on that. Okay, um, in English grammar, right, we have 12 different tenses. So we in our NQA or corporate document, we are supposed to conduct or teach these tenses in 1 week. Okay, for example. So how do you expect students to learn 12 tenses in 3 hours, which is quite, I would say, as probably at the beginning part, yeah, maybe first six tenses, they will be very, okay, yeah, I understood. But towards the end, right, they will be very tired listening to you and, the lecture part and all. So usually what I will do for this particular chapter is that I will divide them. Okay, I will divide the tenses. So instead of covering 12 tenses during the 3 hour session, I will do the basic tenses. Okay, basic tenses such as simple past, simple present, simple future, then what else? Past continuous. Okay, so these basic tenses, which I'm sure they are already learned all these in school, but we also have to teach them. Okay, so all of these basic tenses will be turned into an asynchronous activity. Asynchronous means pre-session. So what I will do is I will create some quizzes. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with quizzes platforms. So I will assign as homework for quizzes. And of course, I would provide them with some infographics. I don't provide them with notes, as in written notes. And if it's too wordy, students won't read. That is another thing about flip session. Yeah. If it's too wordy, some students, they will, okay, I will just skip this part. However, I will try to create some infographics, okay, which summarizes the tenses. Okay, maybe one poster for simple past. Okay, their structure, what is the timeline, what are the example of sentences. Okay, these kind of simple things you create in a infographic manner using Canva or PictoChart, and then you post it in your open learning. All right, so as they go through the infographic, because it's colorful and maybe it's not too wordy. So they tend to look at it and then they answer some questions. So we already know that they have the understanding or the learning about the basic tenses. If, okay, I still do have a few, maybe 2 or 3 students who finds it difficult to understand. They for them, some students, we need to lecture them, we need to guide them, we need to talk to them or teach them. Otherwise, they are very good in self-learning. But for some students, then they will come to you and you just guide them. Okay, this is why, this is the reason it is in past tense. You see, this is the keyword. This is why it is a future tense. Those kind of things. So when majority of the students have already learned about the basic things, now you can focus, use that 3 hours, use that particular time to revise. Okay, maybe the revision session will take about 20 to 30 minutes. Revise on the basic tenses and focus on the complex sentences. Complex tenses, for example, like past perfect tense or past perfect continuous. These are the ones that is very difficult for them to learn. Okay, so you can focus that out. So instead of you spending 2 weeks to teach these 12 tenses, or instead of you spending 3 hours trying to lecture, but the understanding will be lesser there. Now you have made them take responsibility for their own learning. Just a small part. You don't have to flip one entire topic. Just flip a small part of it, like what I did just now. The basic one, you flip, you let them learn, you let them do activities. You can monitor, see what are the common errors and those kind of things. Okay, and yeah. So far for this particular topic, I noticed my students, they are doing quite well. I know tenses are something that everyone will feel tensed about when you teach this course or when you want to learn this course. So far, majority of my students, they are able to catch up with this topic compared to what I did 2 years back, because I think it was April 2019, the beginning of the pandemic, when I used to lecture for 3 hours about the tenses, it was very, very difficult for me and also for the students. You hardly can see any replies from them, or you can hardly see get any responses from them. But somewhere in June 2020, I've adopted this practice of flip, and trust me, beginning it was quite tedious. It's a lot of work because you need to create things from scratch. Of course, you can adapt some materials online, and you have to cite them and give credit and so on. But I prefer to create on my own. So it was quite difficult at first. Okay, and once you have created it once for that one semester, the subsequent semester you don't have that work already. You can just use the similar poster and post and use it for the upcoming semesters. So this is one way to speed up the syllabus for sure. So yeah, over to you.
All right, thank you, Miss Shamini. So I know from the responses in the chat box, we know that you face challenges, you have a lot of difficulties when you are being asked to do flipped classroom. So next, we would like you to share with us your challenges, the difficulties you face, apart from the answers, the responses that you have given just now. Probably you have done flipped classroom before and you face some difficulties. Can you maybe share with us in the chat box?
But Miss Wendy, one difficulty, I would like to start first now this time. So one difficult moment that I faced, especially in June 2020, when I started to work on and get to know more about the split classroom, right? Like similar to some of the responses here, students, they don't do the work. You assign them to do a particular task, but they don't do. They don't do, and then they will come to the class, and when you ask questions, they will be so blurred. They don't know what's happening. You say, Miss, I didn't do, Miss. I forgot to do this, Miss. I didn't have time, miss. I didn't know we are supposed to do this, miss. Where can I find it? That's the worst, you know. We already established that back then it was Canvas. So we already established that Canvas is our platform and we've already uploaded everything. But still, you will see some students, they come and ask, Miss, where can I find this exercise? I don't know where to find it and all. So it was very challenging at first to get them into the zone of to discipline them in doing the task first and then attend the session. That is very, very difficult for me. Any other challenges that anyone else would like to share? I will tell you how I overcome the challenge in my next slides.
Yeah, I can see from the answers in the chat box are the ones that Shamini just said. Students, they don't do work, they are not prepared. Okay, another issue is big classes. Yes, and what else? Students giving excuses, not attending classes, need to monitor progress and nag them. Don't worry, yeah. Later on, Shamini will share how to overcome the challenges. Oh, cannot monitor 100 plus students online. They only want the slides. Misusing mental health. Ask which slides coming out in exam. Wow.
Trust me, even if I say that I've been using this split session and I can see a lot of improvement in that particular session, right? There will be one or two. I even received one message yesterday night asking, Miss, which chapters are coming up for the exam? Even after sharing it with them, I've already shared with them last week, but this afternoon is their exam. And yesterday they asked me, Miss, which slides are coming out? Which chapter is coming for the exam? And that part, your blood just boils. You have one or two left out students. Yes, that's something that I totally agree on.
I think that happens to most of the other departments lecturers because for English, we can hardly tell them which chapter will come out. English is like you have to learn all the skills. It's not about the topics.
Yes, it is very, very tiring. And I really, how to say, had this stress, terrible stress. Can't even, I can't do work. I'm constantly in stress back then. Because I've already explained this to the students. Why they are asking me again and again and again? It was not good. I totally agree. That's why we call it a sharing session. I am sharing the true thing that happened while implementing all this. It's not all flowers. It's not all good things about it. You have negative things as well. Student stress, lecturer stress, we all stress. Yeah.
So the conclusion is go back to physical classes. Lesser stress, is it?
Yep. I kind of agree with Jehan. You have a better control because students are right in front of you and you will know whether they're listening or not. But remember, flipped classroom is not something that we do entirely online. Basically, you are adding the blended learning here. That means in class, okay, you are assisting the activities, all these things. But of course, before they come to the class, you will have to assign some tasks or some reading materials for them. This is something you are not to be blamed for this. Okay, this is something the students have to take ownership or they have to take responsibility in their learning. But of course, physical sessions, we can monitor them better. Perhaps you will have lesser stress. I believe, Jehan, you are talking about GSR course, is it? Yep. Well, we are moving, transitioning into like, everything is online now, even webinars, even conferences are online. It just takes time for students to understand the whole concept of, transitioning from one era to another era. So, okay, sorry. Yeah, we have a lot of these issues where main thing is that students are, how to say, I wouldn't say they are careless, they're carefree. They don't care and they know that in the end they just have to do some assignments and get the scores. Okay, in their mind that is their they've already fixed it. It's all about exams, it's all about assignments, it's not about learning. Because I would say I don't blame them entirely because this is how they were taught in schools. Okay, for about 12, not for about 12, 13 years, they've been in schools, and usually teachers they tend to spoon feed them a lot. Okay, they whatever it is they will teach. Okay, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to do. So they've never really taken a proper responsibility in their own learning. They assume lecturers can give the answers. We can ask the lecturers. Lecturers can provide everything. And things gets worse because it is not 30 students anymore, like what Jehan said. We have hundreds of students in one session. And to cater to everyone's question is really, really stressful. Okay. So next slide. First thing first, I would just like to share these things here because this is based on what I learned from my own experience. This is what I reflected throughout these 1.5, 2 years. And I wouldn't say it helped me 100%, but at least it's way better. I would say way, 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 way better than how or what I experienced back in 2020. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the first thing that we will have to do. I know we all give them instructions, okay? Like especially every week when it comes to a session, we say, okay, go and learn this. Okay, do this. We do give them instructions and so on. But for you to conduct a good modified flipped lesson, okay, sorry, for you to conduct a good flip lesson here, you need to establish groundings. Like I said before, students, they come from schools where they've always been spoon fed. So we have to stop that because in order for them to get into the real world, the real world experience, their bosses in working in their office, their bosses are not going to spoon feed them anymore. All right, they're just going to tell this is what you're supposed to do, and they have to figure out. So I believe, okay, first thing first, establish groundwork. First lesson itself, okay, especially foundation students. This is what I encountered with foundation students. The moment they attend the first session, make sure you set it. Okay, for my class, every week there will be exercises and tasks for you to complete before the online session. If you don't complete, then you will get some kind of a, how to say, uh, marks will be affected. Of course, we don't really affect the marks a lot, but for me, I would say, okay, attendance will be affected because you have not completed your work and all. This is something that I used to say, but of course, I won't do it. But something that I used to say. So students, they will be like, oh, okay, I have to do this. If I don't do this, then I'll get scolded. If I don't do this, then I won't get the attendance. If I don't do this, I won't get the tips for the exam. Those kind of things. Always establish grounds. It is impossible for them to follow immediately. So it takes time. For example, if it's a 12-week course, maybe week one, they are still, some students who they don't really do it. Okay, they say, oh, miss, I forgot. And then you give them another chance, another week, the second week. And then again, they don't complete their work. Then you try to call them saying that, okay, miss, sorry, not miss. Okay, let's say Celine. Okay, Celine, you have not finished your work, is it? How come? Why you have not finished your work? Okay, you ask the student, what is the issue? Of course, this comes under the pastoral care. If you have 100 students, it's very difficult for you to monitor. But once you start to focus on one student or two students, words get around. They will like, oh, this miss is very strict when it comes to asynchronous tasks. You need to complete the asynchronous task, or else, she won't be very happy about it. She will, somehow give some. They should know the consequences of not doing it. This is, of course, although I don't really up their attendance mark, but this is something that I will tell them to do, right? Establishing ground rules, and don't expect it to happen immediately. It takes some time. Even for my English grammar, first 2 weeks, they were still playing around, they're not very serious. And then you put your game face on, you tell them, you didn't do this, so you're not getting the attendance. Then they slowly start to, oh, okay, I have to do it. If I don't do it, I won't get the attendance. And the second one is listing the clear instruction. All right. Remember, okay, they are not guided during asynchronous tasks. That means before the class time. All right. We are talking about clip, right? So before the class time, they are not really guided. Okay. You just give them instruction. So basically, this instruction should be a set of clear instruction, step-by-step instruction. Okay, you need to think from their shoes as well. Okay, okay, I've already asked them to do this. What else would they ask? What funny questions would they ask in class? This comes in experience. Yeah, you already know the type of questions that they will ask. Miss, for example, do I need to attach the rubrics in my assignment or not? Miss, do I need which cover page do I need to add? Miss, how many words am I supposed to write? All these questions, the frequently asked questions, right? You kind of know this is expected. So you list down clear instructions. Okay, this is this, you're supposed to write this, you're supposed to write this long, attach these files, do this, do that, and so on. Again, you need to spell it out to the students because they are not guided at the moment. Okay, you are just giving a written instruction. This is what I did before. I gave written instructions. Okay. First time it was a bit some students read and followed, some who didn't. So then I adopted to on video instruction. That means whatever I want them to do, I record. Of course, no fancy recording. You just like this in front of a room, just record. Okay, first thing I want you to do this. Second thing I want you to do this. Just record using Microsoft Teams. That's enough, and you post in your platform, learning platform. All right. Because some students they are probably not a visual learner. They need to listen to you in order to get, to understand what you're expected to do. So spell it out. They are from school. Okay, this is the first place that they come. So they need some time to adapt to the changes of the learning. But trust me, once you've already established these things, slowly they will be, taking responsibilities to their learning. All right. Next, third one, create engaging learning activities. A lot of us, okay, uh, this was me in 2020. Okay, I used to get a lot of YouTube videos. Okay, I Google about, for example, tenses, right? I used to Google the word tenses, and I will look for a really good video, and I used to post in the platform and ask them to watch the video and answer some questions. And over time, I realized something is not right. Okay, something is not right because students they tend to have the perception, if I'm watching YouTube videos, why this lecturer is here, why am I paying? They have this idea or this mindset. So to avoid all this, okay, you can have YouTube videos from the one that's created from others, but don't overdo it. Don't overpost YouTube videos. Okay. Um, Again, we don't want them to have the mentality that, oh, this lecturer is not committed to facilitating my learning. She's just posting videos. So that is not the one. All right. Have a variety of asynchronous tasks. That means pre-lessons. Have a variety of them. Variety means you can ask them to do some kind of a research and post their findings. Okay. So instead of posting their findings like copy paste from internet, you can ask them to create some kind of a poster. Okay. So that will be their pre-lesson. And then during lesson, you can share some of their, findings and what is wrong about their findings and so on. You can come up with some games. Of course, one advantage of language classes is that there are a lot of games that you can find available online. Okay, you have Kahoot, but Kahoot is quite backdated now. But you have like quizzes, you have generally, I think, and then we have quizzes where we have with instructor base. All these are learning platforms, but not only for language. I believe for other course content as well. You just need a little bit, invest a little bit of time to make the questions interesting in a quiz manner, right? That is one. If you are adding some YouTube videos, don't just add video, add some questions into the video. For example, like using Edpuzzle. Okay, I'm sure quite a lot of you are very familiar with Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is not a new platform, it's quite old. So Edpuzzle, you want to add the video, fine. But then ask questions to check whether they are actually, listen to the video or they just skip all the way. So this will force them to watch, in a way learn and answer to the questions. So basically, these are some of the things that I did, creating engaging activities here. Um, it will be difficult at first, trust me. It will be difficult at first, but subsequent semesters, it will be lesser work for you. Okay, that's what I encountered. It will be lesser work. Once you have created things in the beginning, then okay, setting up is difficult. Okay, not to mention, you're recording the videos, it takes time. Sometimes you want to be authentic, so you want to have the recording. Like again, some say in the chat box, recording, not everyone will watch, right? So to make sure that they watch, maybe you can add some questions in a way like, you have add puzzles and so on. Okay. And the next one, the last one, right? Providing feedback. Again, flipped lesson is not about they learning, you conduct activities, but it's also about providing feedback to the students. Of course, you cannot be providing individual feedback to 100 students because in my course, I have uh, taught bigger classes where I had about 90 students or 112 students and all. It is very difficult to look at each one of them and provide feedback and all. So in bigger classes, maybe you can do some sort of a group feedback. Okay, you do, instead of doing individual tasks, you can ask them to work in group and then you provide group work, maybe 5 in a group. So instead of giving a feedback to 100 students, you have lessened it. Okay, you just give for about 20, 15 feedbacks kind of thing. It depends. All right. So as a role, as a facilitator, okay, that's what I like to call myself instead of lecturer. As a facilitator, it is important to check on the students' understanding. Once a while, once you go to your open learning and see the learning progress of the students, whether they've completed or not, what is it? Sometimes you won't be getting 100%, but you see whether they have reached about 80% of their learning progress or not. Why these students are having issues? Then you provide some feedback. That's the part where but we used to say, being a granny and being a mother-in-law, you nag and nag. You try to attend to these students who are very weak. Perhaps they don't know how to learn online. So as a facilitator, it's our role to actually assist them uh, in learning as well. Okay. Again, I'm not asking you to monitor one by one for all the courses. It's very, very overwhelming. Too much. But you can notice a significant few students who are really drowning. They can't be helped. You try your best. If they can't help themselves, then that is different. But the good thing is that you need to try. So you need to try to identify them and help. So this flip method will actually help to identify these students in an easier way. Okay, you'll know whether they did the work or not, so what's the problem, and so on. All right, so next one.
Thank you, Miss Shamini. Next, we will, after looking at first thing first, when planning for our modified flip lesson, what can we do? I know flip lesson is difficult. So now we are going to modify. So how can we modify the traditional flipped lesson? First of all, before we move on to the modified ones, we know that the traditional way of flipping our classroom is you record a video lecture, you ask them to watch, then when they come to class, they take part in activities. So students might feel that it's so boring to just sit there and watch video. So what we can do is, first thing, you can be flexible. Flexible as in don't only create videos, okay? You put yourself in students' shoes. What do they like to do nowadays for teenagers? Oh, I know that they like to post Insta stories. They like to do TikTok, okay? So you know that they are more interested in doing this kind of fun activities. So ask them to do something like that. You can ask them to post Insta stories, answer to discussion questions, sharing experience, or you can even ask them to take photos and share something fun that are related to your lesson, so that they don't feel like, oh, every week I have to watch video. I have to sit there. I have to look at my lecturer's face, listen, look at the slides, and that's it. Okay. Maybe you can do a variety of different activities. First week, okay, you ask them to watch lecture video. Second week, post Insta stories, get feedback responses. Third week, answer to discussion questions, have a variety so that, students feel like they are getting a surprise every week, something fun for them to do. Be more flexible, modify a bit. Okay, and next one is switch roles. I will invite Miss Shamini to share her experience.
All right. So before I start to talk about this, right, I was just going through some of the chats here because earlier I didn't have the access, so I just skimmed through some, and I do notice a lot of people they're saying clear instructions given, yes, but still they don't read. They are very lazy. Again, this is something that I encountered when I had this flip thing. When you give the instructions, you already post it in the open learning or Canvas, right? They will still ask the same question. Like what I said, I've already posted everything, and then the student asked me is which chapters are coming in for exam. So earlier in 2020, what I used to do is I used to be so stressed. I will reply to them individually. For those who actually, come and ask me questions, I will say, okay, this is it. Okay, this is coming out. This is coming out, and all. I used to do that because, that's the first time you're trying it and you don't want it to fail and all. You tend to put in a lot of effort and work. But over the time, right, I noticed that okay, if I were to reply to these students individually, then you are basically spoon feeding them again. All right. This is what we don't want to do. Okay, we want students to take responsibility. Again, if they were to go into their working life, they won't be asking their boss, am I supposed to do this? Boss, am I supposed to do that? Boss, am I supposed to do this and all? In the end, it is the way that they learn here will probably change when they go to their working life. So nowadays, what I used to do, if the students ask question, I will reply back. Did you look at the slides? Did you refer to open learning? If the students say no, go read and then ask me questions. Okay, that is one. So that at that moment, whatever, for example, I probably will be marking papers or coursework, but I won't leave to find information for the students. I will ask the students to go and find the information. All the information is already up there, given to you. If you couldn't find it, if you have any questions that is not related to the instructions or whatever that I've listed, then you come and ask me. I will add that in the instruction. But other than that, go and look for yourself. So for my, this is for NPU course, NPU 2293, personal development, especially this course when I'm teaching. Students, a lot of them, and I have about 70 over, they tend to ask me, Miss, where do I upload this? Miss, do I do this? Miss, do I do that? I say, go and look at your brief. Go and look at the open learning files. Okay. If you can't find it, you ask me, or else go and find your own responsibilities. Of course, students will feel, oh, this miss is not helping, but in a way, we are training them to look, take responsibility. Again, that's the thing. We cannot let them be lazy. Okay, because we are putting in a lot of effort. We are putting in a lot of time, blood, sweat, and all in preparing a material, a big material, and so on. So we cannot be, drowning deeper. So always ask the students to go and check. You can complain if these informations are not available. Okay, and you can say, oh, miss is not helping at all, I couldn't find the information. Yes, you can complain to students, but once all the informations are provided, it's their responsibility to go and find for it. First 2 times, 1 or 2 times, yes, but later on they know this is going to be my standard response, so they don't really come and ask. So again, this is one of the experience that I would like to share when I did this. All right. So coming back to this switching roles, okay, this is also one way to, I would say, reduce your workload. I don't know, maybe this is the key to reduce your workload, switch roles. Okay, so you don't have to do everything by your own, or you don't have to create everything on your own. Okay, you try to switch places. All right. Again, this is in one of the semesters, I've tried this method for my ALE course, which is an English grammar. So remember earlier I told you that my flip session, I will divide it into two. First I will let them know the easy part, and then I will focus on the difficult parts in class. So now what I modified it and I changed in another way. Okay, I ask students to find information. I put them into different groups, several groups, and then I ask them to find information. What these tenses means, all 12 tenses, what these tenses means. What is the structure of the tenses? What are the words that you need to have? And then is it, I would say, past participle? Is it present participle? What is it that you need to have in this particular tense? And then the timeline, so that they know when the event took place and all. And then I also ask them to come up with some examples of sentences that you can create, which is related to the tense that's assigned to your group. For example, this group 1, they are assigned this past perfect tense. So they need to find all the information about the past perfect before class. Yeah, this is before the online session. All right. And then with those information, I will ask them to create a poster using Canva. Okay, a poster using Canva. So when I use this method, they do research, they do their own learning about this. Okay, they are being creative, not just copy paste from online and post in open learning, but they have to reduce the number of words. They have to find the keywords and put it into a poster so that the poster is not so wordy. So once you have assigned this, okay, during the session, during class, the 3 hours, they basically share their ideas, whatever that they have found. They share their posters. Apart from that, I also ask them to create 5 questions using quizzes. Okay, I know probably you're familiar with quizzes, right? So I will ask each and every group to create 5 questions related to your tense. If your tense is past perfect, then you create 5 questions using past perfect. Okay, it's okay. Maybe they just take the questions from online. They didn't create it by themselves. It's okay. Never mind. So during the session, they will present their posters. Okay, and after presenting, this group of students, they will conduct the quizzes. Okay, they will conduct the quizzes as a lecturer. I will join their quiz as well, and then the other groups, they will join the quiz, and as they play, they'll have to explain why this is right, why this is wrong, what is the key word, and so on. All right, so in a way, I would say for this particular topic, I think there's 2 semesters. I think for this particular topic, I didn't really prepare much. Okay, I asked them to prepare, I go through their posters, that's it, and then I give them feedback earlier, and they conduct the quiz. Everyone enjoyed, everyone had fun, and it was as simple as that. Okay, so this is again another thing. You don't have to prepare quizzes questions for all 12 tenses. Okay, this time you switch roles. You let them prepare and conduct class. And of course, as a facilitator, you correct them if there are any errors. Okay, so this is one part that I actually enjoy, which is the switching roles part. Again, don't do it for every lesson, yeah, because again, students' mentality, they say, this lecturer is not teaching at all. Last week also present, this week also present. I'm sure next week also she's going to ask us to present. So better don't have it that way. Choose the ones that are convenient, okay, which is quite easy for them. Get them involved in this learning process. All right. All right. Moving on.
Okay, so in a way, I hope Shamini's sharing can help you to, I would say, save some time. Don't prepare everything for your students. Sometimes let them experience what we experience, yeah? Okay, next one is probably something new for you. Number 3 is you can actually do the in-class flip. Okay, so I didn't do this, but I actually do some research online, and then I found this, and then I think it can probably be used, especially when we are going back to physical classes. This is something that we do in physical classes instead of doing it online. So the in-class flip is like something like rotation method. Okay, so when they come to class, as in, if you don't ask them to watch their lecture videos before their class, so what you can do is you can still record a video of your lesson. So in class, when they come to class, what you do is you can have different stations in your classroom. Maybe the first station is watching the video. Second station can be maybe creating infographic. Third station is doing presentation. Okay, have a few different stations with different activities. Then you divide your students into different groups. For example, group number 1, they will be in station 1 first, watching the video. And then this another particular group of students, they will go to station number 2, number 3, 4, 5, and so on. Then you give them some time. For example, first round, they will spend maybe 10 minutes in their own station. After the 10 minutes, they rotate, they go to the next station. So they get to do engaging activities during the class instead of just sitting there, everybody doing the same thing, listening to you, they might get bored. So this is what we call as rotation also. in a way, it's more, it's fun. It's a bit different, and also they still watch the video, but they do it in the class. Okay, so after they watch the video, they still can apply the knowledge in the activities that they are doing. And then probably during the very last station, after they finish everything, the last station only they come together, and then they produce, they create something out after they have been through all the activities. Then from there, you can see, you can assess maybe from the things or the work that they have created, whether they really master the knowledge. If not, then only you step in, you maybe you want to clarify, you want to emphasize on the part that you realize that they don't understand, they need extra help. So probably this is a good idea that you can use because we are going back to physical classes. Maybe you would like to try this method. Okay, Miss Shamini, you have any additional things you would like to share regarding this?
Yeah, actually, for the questions, I think Siti Intan, she asked a question about, so when you do this kind of presentation, do they get any marks and all? Because of course, being typical students, they will only put in the effort if, um, how to say, they only put in the effort if they get any marks, or else they just do lazy work and present. So I was typing it, but then I realized, I thought, okay, never mind, I'll just share it verbally. Um, I don't give them marks. Okay, I'll tell them beforehand that, okay, this presentation, there's no marks. But, okay, the main purpose of this is first for self-learning, and we will be learning about these tenses. And remember, I told you that they will have to create 5 questions from the tenses that were assigned. So what I will tell them is that it is important because I will randomly choose a few questions from your presentations for your evaluated assessment. This is something that I will tell. Like, okay, so I will randomly take this, so you have to pay attention to all the presentations so that you know what type of questions were asked. So although I won't take 100% from their questions, okay, I will just like take 1 or 2. This is to tell, in a way, they will feel involved, like, oh, these questions might be coming out for the quiz. So I think I better, take note of this, or I better create this thing, something like that. So that is the motivation that they have. So far, for these 12 tenses, and I think I've conducted this for 3 semesters, this method, yeah, I've conducted for 3 semesters. And the first semester, yes, some did sloppy work and some really put in effort and created a very beautiful poster and presented and all. The second semester, I've changed my instruction saying that, okay, I'm going to randomly choose the questions. And when I said that, they were all very, they learn about their own tenses, and they also listen to other people's tenses. They take note of the questions that they create. They look for the comments that I give during, after each quizzes, I will give them some comments. So they will take note of the comments. It is, how to say, the first few tenses will be very engaging. It's just that towards the end, some students will be very tired. Okay. So again, I'm trying to modify that as well. I'm still thinking on, how to make sure that they are engaged that whole 3 hours. What things that I can do differently, or how else I can make them more motivated. Yes, it is something that we constantly uh, think about and evolve. Okay, it's not like you found a solution, you do it one time, and it's gonna be there for the entire time. No, again, we have different students. Okay, some hardworking students, some lazy students. We can't really help every one of them, right? So every semester is a learning progress, and always have to reflect on your lesson, your click lessons. So yeah, I don't give them marks, but I'll give them the motivation to put in effort. So in that way, perhaps my work of finding questions will also be lesser. But of course, I won't take 100% because you're not supposed to. So I will take 1 or 2 questions from them, and of course modify, change the name, and things like that.
in conclusion, don't be too rigid. Modify when you face difficulties. Even though we call it flipped classroom, so today we do modify flipped classroom. Be more flexible, and when you face difficulties, we will try to reflect, come up with solutions. Whenever we face different types of students every semester, we come up with we apply different types of solutions for it. Okay, so you can keep on venting out in the chat box. Okay, we will try our best to help to share our experience also, and hopefully it helps you all. All right, next we have reached our break session. Okay, I'm sure you are tired also listening to both of us. Let's have a coffee break, toilet break, music break. Okay, so we will see you all again after 15 minutes. So it's 10:32 now. We'll see you at 10:47. All right, see you everyone in another 15 minutes.
Rest time. Hi, hello, welcome back. I've already given you about what 15, 16 to 17 minutes. So hi, welcome back. Um, so to make sure that everyone is here, okay, let's see if you are still staying together with us or not. Type in the chat box your favorite food's name. Oh, sorry. Maybe not favorite. Favorite destination. Yeah. Holiday destination. If you are here with us, type in the chat box your favorite holiday destination. Can be anywhere. Spain and Italy. Wow. Have you been there or you want to go there, Jehan? Oh, Japan. Anywhere with a roller coaster, Sunway, Pyramid, Rina? Maldives. Oh, that's a beautiful place. Disneyland. Yeah, you want to go again. What attracts you, Jehan? What is it that it makes you to go there again? Is it the environment? Is it the food? Is the people, the weather? What is it? What makes you feel like going there again? London, okay. Anywhere with snow. All right. Yeah, actually, I always have this curiosity, what would it feel like to be in a place where it snows? How cold can it be? When in movies people wear 3, 4 layers of outfit, so you feel like I want to experience that once in a while. London, okay, that can be. Hannah Lisa also wants to go to Maldives. Wendy, so both of you can go together. The shopping. Oh, shopping in London. I want to go with my girl. Okay. Food, food, and nightlife. Interesting. Okay, I think I should put Italy in my bucket list to go with maybe another what 10, 10 years time. Genting has snow, but not that natural ones, right? The one that I don't know, does it feel like it's raining? Does it has the same feel? ICT Shah Alam. Much colder than Sapporo. Oh, okay. I've never been to ICT Shah Alam before. I know there's a lot of things and it's beautiful with all the lights and all, but never been there. Although I've studied in PJ for about 5 years, but I never had a chance to go there. Finland to see the Northern Lights. Wow, okay, that's really nice. I've always wanted to go to Amsterdam. That's a place, you know, uh, you can just cycle around. And I feel Amsterdam is a place where it's beautiful, quiet, nice. Tulips, yes, correct. Yeah, that's the right history. But definitely not. I don't know. Yep. Let's go this week in our dreams. Oh, are you talking about ICT, Stephanie? I'm sorry. Oh, yes, talking about marking. Back to reality, guys. This week, next week, this whole 2 weeks is gonna be overwhelmed with marking. I believe, especially if you have a very large number of students in one course. My God. Never mind. We will go through. We can overcome this. All right. Okay. So, all right. So while you discuss with this week's agenda and and the marking and all, let's get back. Okay, this is one way. that I always do to get the attention back, right? Because I know sometimes after break, students tend to just, go away and play games, get into that. So one way of making sure students are still there with you, you just ask some random questions or hypothetical questions, so they will type the responses and interact that. Yeah, you will be surprised to see some of the students' responses and all. And you will also see the frequency of the people who actually respond and pay attention. That's another one more thing. So you see, oh, this is a very, this student always, interact in class. So kind of like understand. And there are also some students who doesn't interact at all in chat box. So you know that these are the passive students and so on. Right. All right. So let's get back to the training sharing session. I would say sharing session, not more of a training here. I'm not teaching you anything. I'm just sharing my ideas and all here. All right. So moving on, we have activities. Of course, once we have shared things, we cannot be talking and sharing and venting out for the whole 4 hours, right? So it's not that right. So we have a part where we want you to plan out or think about something which is closely related to this modified flipped classroom, right? So the first activity here is plan your modified flipped lesson during pre, during, and post. All right. Before I explain in detail about it, Wendy, I would like to share the screen. Sorry, I have to request control from you. Just a minute, yeah. Okay, share. Okay. So for this particular activity, it's going to be an individual task first. Okay, it's we are all lecturers and we are all like we kind of like teach students. All right, so we want you to come up. Oops, sorry, it's the Zoom button. Okay. We want you to think about, or maybe this is the first time you want to try flip, or maybe you have tried flip before, but it didn't really go as planned or wasn't really successful for various reasons and so on, right? So once I'm done with this explanation, what I'm going to do is give you this form, so-called form. Okay, it's a document here. It's called Modified Flipped Classroom Plan. All right. So all you have to do is download this particular file. It's in Word format. Okay. Later, Ms. Wendy will share the QR code, and I will share the link in the chat box as well. All right. So, all right, your name, the course name. Just think about one course. You don't have to think. I know we teach multiple courses, right? Just think about one course, and then one topic and the class duration. Class duration usually goes up to 2 hours or 3 hours, right? Okay. And then think about your lesson learning outcome. This lesson learning outcome is extremely important because if you are not sure what is it that you expect students to learn, you can't really plan your activities properly. Okay, this is based on my experience as well. So what I always do is I come up with this learning outcome, okay, lesson learning outcome. I will tell the students and say, okay, these are the things that you are supposed to accomplish this by end of this particular session. All right. So you probably can go to your scheme of work. I think it's a teaching plan. You will see the lesson learning outcome for your course. So you can put it here, fill it here, and then list your activities here. Okay, so before class, in terms of flip, what is it that you're going to flip? Are you going to flip the entire topic, or are you going to flip just a small part of the topic? All right, that's one thing that you have to decide. And then think about the activities that you can come up with, or some kind of a platform or technological tools that you can think about while planning or designing a flip. I don't want you to design, okay? designing would take a very long time. This is just a plan, something that comes in your mind. And okay, I think I will do this before session. I will do this during session. I will do another one more activity after class. So just some kind of a plan. Okay, you don't have to create anything, but it's just a plan. Okay, so perhaps by end of the session, you can take back this plan and start working out on really creating the content and share with your students and try this flip session. All right. Um, okay, I'm going to stop sharing. So before session, during session, and after session, right? What are the things that you can come up with? Like with some of the examples that I mentioned earlier, right, about my tenses. Okay, so before class, I will ask them to read up about their tenses assigned. So I create groups for them. Instead of them finding their own groups, I create groups for them. And then I'll ask them to do a research on certain topic. I will ask them to create a, infographic using Canva. Okay, and then I will also ask them to create quizzes. Okay, 5 questions using quizzes. So these are the things that they are supposed to accomplish and do before the session. And then during the session, what are the things that you can do? Okay, instead of lecturing, okay, what are the other interesting or activities that you can think about? Like, again, my tenses, I will just go through, revise the entire tenses as a revision part, and then I will ask them to present their, their posters, and I'll ask them to play quizzes. Okay, as I will want to pose, and that is one activity instead of just me talking. That is during. Okay, that is the activity part that we are having, and you will identify the students who are weaker and who are better while doing this. And then after class, what is it that you're going to do? After class, are you going to give them more exercises on this topic? Or after class, are you going to ask some reflective questions? After class, are you going to ask them to do something else related to the topic that you just covered? What is it? Okay, so just think about it, just plan about it. You don't have to create anything, don't have to create any content, just think about it. All right. Um, let me see. So this is the QR code. Okay, and let me share the link. This is the link to download the file. All right. How long are we giving them this, Wendy? Okay, 15 minutes. All right. Is it okay? We give you about 15 minutes to think about, to decide which course or which topic you want to do, and just plan about it. Just 15 minutes, an individual task. Yeah, you all can go and think about based on your own courses. So once you are planning about it, then we can, sorry for the noise. So we can come back about 11:15, okay, and then we can do another one more activity, which is going to be based on what we have planned now, yeah. So you download and you edit and you keep it first. So we see you back at 11:50. Give them 5 minutes.
Hi everyone, are you done with the planning or do you need more time? Is it enough? 15 minutes for you? Okay, Jehan is done. How about the rest? Don't worry, we don't need a very detailed lesson plan. Okay, we are not asking you to submit, yeah? We just want to know your planning. Oh, Susie, not yet. 50% done, Susie? 80%? The lesson plan is just for you to see. Okay, 50%. You don't actually write in full sentences, just 2 lines, okay? Yeah, you don't need to explain in detail. It is not the lesson plan you submit for your class observation. We just want you to think through it, and then plan something out for your lessons. Okay. Later on, we will put you in different breakout rooms. So what you do is you share verbally, okay? Or you can, if you want, you can share screen, then explain about your lesson plan. Okay, so during the sharing session, everybody share your own opinion, your own lesson plan, then you can give feedback, okay, among each other. Like, when you listen to other people's lesson plan, what are the maybe possible challenges or problems that you can think of, and give some suggestion for your colleagues. Maybe he or she can actually improve a bit, improve a lesson plan. Okay, possible things that you can spot, share your suggestion, your opinions. All right. Then after that, when you come back to the main session, we would like to hear from you. Okay, probably you can also share a bit about 1 or 2 lesson plan that you hear of during the sharing session that you think it is very good, very creative, then maybe they are that you think it's very workable. Okay, you can share your um, opinion later on. Okay, so Miss Shamini is going to create breakout rooms. So once you're in the breakout room, you can share among each other your planning, your lesson plans. Okay, Miss Shamini, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. So in total, we will have about 5 rooms. Okay. Room 1 will have about 4 members, but the other rooms will have about 3 members. So that's our initial plan. So again, remember, share your lesson plan. Okay. Explain what is it that you want them to do. Share the tech tool with them about your plan, and the other group members, you can provide some constructive feedback. Okay, I think this particular part, students will do. Maybe why not we use this platform and see, those kind of things. Just give some kind of a suggestive feedback. Sorry, um, and then yeah, suggestion. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry. Sometimes we just get tongue-tied. So yeah, give some feedback, and then of course we will come and knock the door and come into your rooms as well and see how the discussion is going on. And then like what Ms. Wendy said, we will randomly choose one and share lesson plans in our main group later on. Right. Um, So I am going to create the rooms now in 3, 2, okay, before that, all clear, yeah? Any doubts or anything that you are not sure? This is something that I always ask my students, because now they will say no questions, but in the breakout room, they will be like, what are we supposed to do? So any questions? You kind of know what you're supposed to do? Just want to make sure that the instruction is there. I mean, you understood what you're supposed to do. All okay, yeah? Yes. Okay, thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, this is just a similar scenario in classes. All right. So since most of you are aware, so I'm going to create the breakout room now and have fun explaining your plans. All right. All right. I'll see you in 15 minutes time.
Uh-oh. Hi, sorry, I got kicked out. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Susie.
Hi. Yeah, sorry, I got kicked out. I mean, technical problem.
Okay, hold on, yeah. We'll put you back into the room. You were in room?
I can't remember, but with Hijaz and
Okay.
me, yeah. Sorry.
Susie, did you receive any call? Is Shamini trying to call you back into the room?
Hang on. Let me try. No, I mean, I did not receive anything.
I think something happened to Shamini. So she will leave and then she will join again and see.
All right.
Right.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you had fun just now. Yes, test. Yes, I can see your chat, Jehan. I hope you learned something new during the sharing session just now. Maybe you gained some new ideas that you can for your next semester's classes. Oh, definitely very good. So later on, you'll randomly decide which room to share first. Okay, we would appreciate if each room could have at least one volunteer to share. Maybe you can share your own lesson plan that you got feedback from your colleagues, or you can share the lesson plan that you think is the most interesting ones in your room. Okay, so you decide which one you would like to share, right? No more room. Very cold. Okay, so Miss Shamini is going to introduce something new to you, probably interesting for you to use for your future classes whenever you want to decide who is to present first in your classes, you know. Okay, Miss Shamini.
Got to connect. Hi, Shamini. I am Shamini. I know there's another lecturer called Shalini. Yes, Cabutan birds. A minute. This is a thing that we call as a we decide. I'm sure some of you probably are familiar with this. We'll decide, right? You just key in the group's names, group 1, group 2, group 3, or teams, or what if it's a small group. And I know that students, especially when it comes to presentation, they are very, very shy. So, instead of asking, hey, who wants to volunteer first? Are you ready? Who's coming first? And then kind of like get demotivated. So you already, inform them beforehand that, okay, prepare this, and then we're going to randomly decide who's going to be this presenter. All right. So over here, I've already added 4 groups. Unfortunately, group 2 is not in. Only 1, 3, 4, and 5. Right. So let's see who is our first lucky presenter for this. So group 1 is always the number 1, I guess. All right, so from group number 1, who, of course, now comes the volunteering part. So from group number 1, who would like to volunteer and share their plans, any interesting plans that you came across? Because again, the purpose
Okay,
of
I
this,
share.
yes, hi Hijaz, so you're sharing. Yeah, again, just want to tell this is a sharing session. So perhaps even me and Wendy will learn 1 or 2 things from your plan, So that's one of the purpose of it. So come on, let's share. Over to you, Hijaz.
Okay, sure, I share. Usually in my class, the students who writes the longest, they will share, or who do the most, they will share, so that the teacher doesn't scold. Right. So, hello, I'm Hijaz. You can see my screen here. Um, for this purpose, I'm taking my course, Visual Concepts and Ideation. This is basically a visual communication subject under communication school. Right, so the topic that I choose for this is film analysis. Class duration is 4 hours, usually straight hours, so it's very long. So the lesson learning outcomes, one is explain the history of filmmaking. Second is explain the visual techniques used in filmmaking. And lastly is apply visual concepts and ideas in of filmmaking and short film productions. So basically, students learn basics of history of filmmaking until they know how to do short film, right, in one class. Okay. It's quite long here. I try to shorten it. So I divide it into 3 LLOs, as I explained just now. So for the first one, LLOs explain the history of filmmaking. I ask the students to watch any classic movies on Netflix, HBO, Go, Disney Plus, or even Astrola if they want any kind of streaming services. Okay, so just watch one, and then while watching or after watching, write the synopsis of the movie in Google Docs, and then take note of whoever working of the movie for the movie, like producers, directors, list of cast, and all this documented in Google Docs. During the class itself, for the LLO one, I will stop my lecture, maybe ask the students to share why you choose to watch the movie. What interests you? Is it the poster, or is it the storyline, or the synopsis, or something? And then share with the your favorite scene of the movie. So the student has to share the clip lah, maybe not too long. And then give overall rating of the movie. So say for example they choose a movie, classic movie like Lawrence of Arabia. Maybe give overall rating of, I don't know. Okay. So after class, write a short reflective summary of the movie. So this will say conclude the LLO1. For the second one, explain the visual techniques used in filmmaking. So while watching or after watching, just list down any unique camera techniques that they notice, or any visual effects that are interested, that they feel unique or interesting. Okay. For the during class, share with the class of the techniques and visual effects that caught their attention. So for this, maybe they can also show the clip. And then for the after class, for this LLO, they can go to the internet and then find some tutorials related to the visual effects or camera technique, maybe on YouTube, and then share the link with the students in the provided section in Open Learning, perhaps. Okay, so with this kind of tutorials that they together share, perhaps for the final project, which is doing a movie, they can actually learn from the YouTube clips that they have shared. For the final LLOs, which is the Apply Visual Concepts and Ideas of Filmmaking in Short Film Productions, for the before class, I didn't do anything. Hopefully that is okay. During the class itself, they will form a group, they will use their smartphones, and they will register or use their existing TikTok account to create or to recreate the scene of the movie. So if they just now they shared, right, the favorite scene, and then perhaps the group can discuss, okay, maybe take my movie and then we recreate this movie scene, and then they use TikTok. Why I choose TikTok? Because I think TikTok is very popular these days among teenagers or kids, and it is very powerful actually. The video editor is really, really powerful. You can do voiceover, you can change your voice, you can actually create special effects, you can do many things. So it's free even. And then once they have done the short movie or short film, they will post it. And then for the after class, they will observe the comments that they receive in the TikTok. And then the next class, they will share what the audience say, basically. Yeah. So that's
That's an interesting and very comprehensive detail, Hijaz. I like the idea where you ask the students to watch a classic movie from Netflix or YouTube or what. I'm sure students will do that. Okay, in terms of instead of asking them to talk about the favorite basically the concept about a movie in the class, you ask them to watch and then you ask them to take note. It's also a part of the learning, while it's an entertaining kind of a learning, I would say. Interesting. Let me see.
thank you.
This is for what is it? What course is this again? Sorry.
Sorry, this course, this one is Bachelor of Communication, and most of the students that are taking these subjects are visual communication specialization.
It is something like our mass comm, is it, Andy? Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, great, great, interesting. I think students will love all these kind of activities instead of just, lecture and ask them to find out the answer, they do things outside of the classroom. Yeah, it's really good, very nice. Good job, Hijaz.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to the next lucky person, lucky group, I would say. Let's see who will be. Okay, we have group three now. So any volunteers from group three? Anyone has a long comprehensive lesson plan?
Intan, is that our group? Are we with group 3?
Okay, let me have a look. Group three, yeah, Johan. Johan, Intan, and Dr. Chia Sweeting.
Intan, do you want to go? Do you want me to go? No, you know what? I'll just go, save time. Okay, so hi, I'm representing group 3, Jihan here. So do I share my, okay, hang on here. I'm not quite familiar with Microsoft Word, so Microsoft Teams, not Word. Okay, okay, can you see my document?
Yes, you can.
Okay, is it large enough? Okay, let me just. Okay, so I'm from School of Comm, SCCA, same school with Hijaz, but my subjects aren't as interesting as Hijaz. I don't get students to do my TikTok and whatnot. But however, now for this plan, this is for one of my subjects, interactive media promotion, where I teach them digital ads. Mainly, yeah, what do they have to do when they want to advertise online? And this particular chapter is on pricing, meaning, I teach students, like, if you have a product online, how do you decide what are the pricing style you're going to put for your product? You don't, just because everyone else is selling for 10 ringgit does not mean you have to sell for 10 ringgit. Okay, so moving on, I don't want to change this into a lecture. So learning up, this is a 2 hours class. Understand how to fix pricing on a product, identify different type of pricing structures, and of course, they also have to learn how to use the tools to analyze your pricing. Now, what I've done is I've actually, okay, so before class will be the preparation part from my side. Slides will be for my presentation, lecture, which of course I will also upload on Open Learning. Then I have class activities. Now, every week I will have class activity. What I usually do is that I will write the instruction, the direction, everything on the Microsoft Word doc. All right, every detail, so that students cannot ask me, Miss Jehan, what are you talking about? Okay. Then I will upload it on Open Learning also. So basically everything is on Open Learning for my classes. And then I also have a Kahoot session, usually towards the end of the class. It's more like a recall, refreshing session where, students just go there for about 2-3 minutes and ask them, what do you learn in this class? Do you remember doing this and whatnot? Okay. So of course, lecture. Sometimes my lectures are quite long because it's very theoretical. What I usually do is that I divide the lecture into 2 parts. So we've got tutorial also. So I will divide the lecture into 1 hour, so that I have time to also have activity, or else the students will get bored, okay, especially when it's online class. So once I've done with my lecture, I will divide, for this particular class, I will divide the activity in 2 parts. So part A, I will get the students to search for 4 different types of pricing. So basically, this is individual. So students will go online and then they will look for different type of pricing on different product. Okay, so basically all they need for this is just a search engine and WebEx to present. That will be my platform. And then part B is where I will break the students into breakout rooms, smaller groups. And then I will give each team different product. And then from there, they will have to work together and then come up with a suitable pricing structure for the product. Then they have to defend their pricing structure to the class. So they have to defend and then they have to justify why they decided to do this. It's more like a pitch. it can be more like a Shark Tank. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the TV series. Okay, so then of course for this session you've got WebEx and then search engine, and of course their least favorite thing is a calculator, but they need that for my class. And then lastly, students will play Kahoot. Students here, they get very excited whenever I play Kahoot because they know that's towards the end of the class really. So then all in all, now the feedback for my class, usually there is a section on my Open Learning where they can give feedback. Like let's say there are parts that they don't understand about the class and they can give feedback. Or I also have a class WhatsApp group with my students. This is where we have a more informal conversation where they give feedback on the class. Sometimes if they have any issues with the activities or perhaps they have a better idea on how to improve the activity, then we'll share it on WhatsApp. I realize that students, they prefer talking on WhatsApp. Maybe perhaps it's easier and they can share, they can talk using the stickers and whatnot. So they like that. Okay, so other than that, that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jehan. And I like, actually,
Thank you.
these students, they are pretty much comfortable to communicate, and they feel more comfortable to communicate via WhatsApp. That's for sure. I used to have, not used to, I'm still having a WhatsApp group for my students, and of course, I will set a boundary that there's a rule again that instead of them sending messages at you in the middle of the night and all, right, so earlier, yes, I used to reply to all those messages, but over the time I feel very stressed again, say why am I doing this, why am I replying them at the midnight and all, then kind of like realize, okay, need to set a boundary. So,
yeah, I agree with you, Shamini. What I actually told my students is that I always tell them that my emails and my WhatsApp, I am not 7-Eleven. I'm not open 24 hours, 7 days a week. So I tell them I'm not 7-Eleven, and that on the Open Learning, even on each of my lecture slides, there will be my WhatsApp and email opening hours. So it's usually 8 to, you have to, I know it, I have to somehow drill it in their brain, that I've got opening hours. And I tell them, even if you email me during the weekend or after opening hours, I will get back to you on working days. Then they have to be patient a bit. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
There is something that everyone, all the lecturers also have to establish, because if you don't, then, they will constantly, we need to have the work-life balance thing. So do not, I wouldn't say that you shouldn't, but try not to, entertain students, because or else they will take advantage of your consultation hours or availability. So stop that. You have working hours. So this is the time. If you're not replying or asking any questions within the certain time, so sorry, you will get a reply the following day. So I like that part. So it's the engagement part is there. So sometimes what I will do, in terms of WhatsApp group, right, I will have this pre-activity, which is before the class, the flip session, right? I will post questions in WhatsApp as well. So, okay, this is the question. This is something that you're supposed to do. And you list down all the instruction clearly. If they have any, they will ask, or else, okay, then they will do it on their own. So talking about Jehan's activities also is pretty theoretical, I believe, your course, because I kind of like get it. It's quite difficult. So just want to ask a question here, Jehan, because during one of your activity there, during session, right, there's a part where you mentioned students will have to check the pricing for 4 different pricing items, right? So
Yes.
Can this be done in a flipped way, which means students look or find for the information beforehand, because your materials are all in open learning beforehand, right? So do that beforehand, but in a flip manner.
I've actually tried that one semester, but I've gotten feedback from students, and because some of our students, their classes are back to back.
Yes,
so we won't have the time, because I usually we upload the materials about on the same day, but a few hours before class.
Okay. All right. So that is one of the things that I will be touching about but after all this sharing session, yeah. All right, good job, Jahan. Interesting. Of course, I don't know about your content. It's definitely not easy for me to comprehend. But yeah, it's a good one. Just try flipping here and there a little bit. Okay, so let's move on to the next presenter. Okay, we have group 4 and group 5. Let's see who is going to present next.
I have a feeling it is following the sequence.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's supposed to be random. All right. Group number 4. I think we have 2 doctors in this group. He just is on and off feature. Yes, but I don't know whether we need to download the app or not, but it's something like business WhatsApp thing, you know, when someone sends you a message during the off time, right, it will automatically send, okay, we are unavailable right now. Please contact us later. I think it's a business WhatsApp or something like that. Yes, it would be better. Group number 4. Group number 4 is supposed to be
Azri, Dr. Irfanida.
think apparently we don't have anyone on this. It's okay, never mind. We can move on instead of waiting. And so, can move on to the next group, which is the final group that we have here. It's group number 5. Perhaps they need some time to come back or what. I don't know. Maybe they're still in the discussion of creating it. All right, so group number 5, we have Batni, Stephanie, and Shalini. I think Shalini is not available right now, but we have Ba'i and Stephanie. So who would like to go first? Who has a comprehensive slides here? I mean, not slides, plan. Stephanie, are
Please,
you there?
Stephanie. Okay, then I will vote for Ba'i to share.
Seems like I can't escape from this. I thought I can escape from that. Okay. Oh, okay. But based on the nature of the topic that or the course that I'm conducting, my lessons plans are slightly different. Okay. So the topic I choose is the drugs used in managing respiratory disorder. And the lessons plan, learning outcome is just like, is to let the students be able to discuss about the drugs used and to identify dosage, what are the actions, the side effects and the routes, and what are their responsibility when they are taking care of patients with those on this type of drugs, and to apply the skills and how to educate or instruct patients to use the metered dose inhaler. How are they going to give the patients nebulizations, plus the medication administration process because we have different routes to actually administer those medication. Before the class, usually I divide the students into small groups. So each group will be assigned with specific topics of the groups, the types of groups. Sorry, the drugs, group drugs. And then I will provide them with verbal and written instructions, and set a deadline for the presentations. So basically, I'm using this as like a peer teaching method for them to like teach each other. And I will also distribute the procedure checklist for them before the class. Well, during the class, during or after the presentations, I let the classmates kind of like give each group the feedback and the evaluation. And then I will step in and give the constructive feedback, top up on updates with all those missing essentials information. And for the skills parts, definitely I will move them to the skills lab to do the demonstrations and practices. After class, we will have quizzes, sometimes just Kahoot, or sometimes I will just have like a task, and there will be like modified essay questions for them to write down what are their nursing responsibility when they are serving type A drugs to patients with these disorders. And students, during the skill practices, they also have to demonstrate how they give health education to patients on these drugs. And I will also then provide some relevant videos that related to these topics, because I think on YouTube there is certain website that is kind of reliable, so that I will share those videos or the links to them, so for them to like kind of top up with what they have learned. And then they have to go for posting in hospitals, and during that time they have to demonstrate and those skills and get of course it's under supervision. They have to do at least 3 times on the real patients to get the courses or the competencies, we'll say that. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Yi. Interesting subject, like what Jehan said. Okay, it's a very important cause. Yeah, you cannot make mistakes. It's about the life of people. Anyways, talking about this before class, you divide the group into divide the students into group, and you will assign them different types of drugs, and they will have to prepare a presentation based on that, right? So this is something similar to what I have done with my course. That means you don't teach them about the types of drugs, but instead you ask them to find out about the types of drugs first. Let them have their knowledge of it, or let them build their idea about the particular subject. And then they will come and present, and perhaps the other students, like what Ms. Wendy has been suggesting, you can do some kind of a voting, like, who did a very comprehensive research about it, who presented better in terms of the content, easier to understand and all. So instead of them listening to a lecturer's lecture every week for 2 hours in the class, and perhaps some students won't be online, you can do all these things, let them do the work first. At first, yes, they will be like, Miss, I don't know anything about this topic. How do you want me to present? But this is the new era of technological learning, I would say. Students have to take responsibility of their learning. It's slowly shifting, okay? We are no more spoon feeding them anymore. That's one thing that I would like to share here. Interesting, interesting ideas shared by Jehan, Hijaz, and also Pak Yi. Nice. Let me see what is next.